Hello guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. My name is Dion Hussain and you guys are Dion Hussainers. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the life story of Jake Joseph Paul. Jake Joseph Paul is started off as a famous YouTuber and Vine star, and then a actor in Disney Channel, then a boxer, then a businessman, and then a musician. He's literally conquered the whole industry of every entertainment. So we're gonna talk about the story of that legend who is Jake Paul. And if you like Jake Paul just like me, and you want to know more about him, so this video is just for you. Today uh, start. I'm gonna just tell you guys all you need to know about Jake Paul. So yeah, grab popcorn, grab your sodas, and enjoy this video. This video is going to be more uh, interesting and entertaining than a film. I bet you that. So yeah, let's enjoy this video. So Jake Joseph Paul, born in Westlake, Ohio. Westlake is a suburb in Cleveland City, Cleveland, Ohio, mainly Westlake. Jake Joseph Paul, born in 1997, January 17th. Jake Joseph Paul is currently 27 years old, almost 28. Had an older brother named Logan Paul, who's also a very famous YouTube star, uh, who is one year and 8 months older than Jake. And Logan Paul, his older brother, is currently 29 years old and a bit taller than Jake. They grew up very close to each other. Obviously, these brothers are very similar age, so they are connected very well, and they had each other as their playing partner. And their parents are Jake Paul's parents are Pam Stepnick, his mother, Greg Paul, his father. His mother and his father are very different kinds of human beings. His mother was a nurse, and his father was a roof. His father had a roof fixing company and was a real estate agent too. So growing up, his mother was very lovely, very supportive, and his mother was very lovely and gave all the love they deserve. On the other hand, Jake Paul's father was also very lovely, also very supportive, but he kinda had a harsh love and hard love, and he didn't let them go. Growing up, his dad, Greg Paul, was abusive and he was very strict, but he always loved his boys, Logan and Jake. And and his dad, Greg Paul, used to not let Logan and Jake sit home after school doing nothing and play games or watch TV. He used to lock the house and send them back in the woods and the outside world for the whole day and not let them be at home. Because, in his words, he didn't think real men stayed at home all day. Playing games and watching TV would ruin them. Jake Paul eventually witnessed their parents, Pam Stepnick, their mother, and his father, Greg Paul's divorce. The divorce happened because, as I said, Jake Paul's mother and Jake Paul's father were very different kinds of human beings. They did not match at all. They had very different personalities and they were clashing. So they decided that they're gonna divorce each other. And that absolutely annihilated and destroyed Jake Paul. Jake Paul didn't know what's gonna happen after his life. His parents, who he loved the most, are getting apart, and everything kinda was getting fallen out of his hand. And he would decide that he would stay half of the time at his mom's house and half of the time at his dad's house. And eventually, his dad was seeing other new girls, and some of the girls didn't like Logan and Jake, so Greg Paul cancelled the relationship with those women or girls, she said. Eventually, Logan and Jake became a teenager. Uh, Logan and Jake grew very athletic. They grew up being very athletic. Logan and Jake both was uh, a sportsman. They were football players growing up. Eventually, when they became teenagers, Logan and Jake started doing wrestling. Uh, and eventually, Jake was a very good wrestler, and Logan became the best wrestler out of Westlake and one of the best wrestlers of Ohio State. Logan Paul eventually stayed at fifth place in Ohio Championship Wrestling, State Championship. Then, although when they were a teen, Logan and Jake, when they were a teen, they decided that they're gonna start doing YouTube. Then they used to upload stupid pranks, stupid videos on YouTube to get more fans. Although those videos really didn't got much success, Logan and Jake still didn't lose their hope. Then at that time a new app called Vine popped up, and Jake was like, Logan, see, we got a new app. This is called Vine. Let's make fun videos on this app. Logan was like, okay, fine, dude, let's do it. Eventually, though, when Logan Paul was a teenager, some girl said that his videos are not cool. His videos are silly and embarrassing. And Logan Paul got really ashamed and deleted all those videos. And Jake got hurt. Jake was like, why would you delete all those videos that we worked hard to make those videos for? Logan was going through the hormones, going through as a teenager, and he felt very embarrassing of the videos that he made before puberty. So for embarrassment, he deleted all those videos. Then eventually they start doing a lot of stupid shit on Vine app, and this time they get very famous. So famous that they eventually became one of the most famous people in Vine in a matter of few months. And everything was going good for him. Eventually, Jake Paul became 17 years old, and he never was good at school, and he never liked school, and he made a decision that he's going to get dropped out of school. And a lot of people don't know. Before Jake was famous in Vine, he thought he's going to be a Navy SEAL, uh, and he was earning knowledge about being a Navy SEAL from his uncle, who is a Navy SEAL. So eventually, he left the thought of being a Navy SEAL because he got famous in Vine. At the age of 17, Jake Paul left school, dropped out of school to go to LA and pursue acting and filming and social media. But his parents didn't really want him to go to LA because they thought that Jake is too young to be in LA for being 17 years old and for his own. But his parents said one thing, that he can go to LA if he stays with his brother Logan. And Jake was like, okay. But Jake's backup plan was to run away from home if his parents would have said no. And he has said that in the Greg Paul episode in Impulsive. Eventually, Jake Paul gets more famous in Vine, but in 2017, Vine gets cancelled. Vine shuts down for some reason. And then Jake Paul starts YouTube and became the most famous YouTuber of all time. And in 2017,
Jake Paul gets more famous. Jake Paul starts daily vlogging. He gets 10 million views per day. He was getting insanely popular, and everybody started loving him. And everything was going fine. Jake Paul was in the Disney Channel show called Bizaardvark, and then Jake Paul dropped out of being a Disney Channel actor because he saw that his YouTube was getting more successful, and he really didn't need Disney Channel to help his boost his career. So he's became his own man, his own entrepreneur, and his own boss. And in 2017, he did much music videos, much vlogs. It was a great year for him. In 2018, KSI, a massive YouTuber from England, called out Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul. And Jake Paul was like, KSI, uh, fight Logan, my older brother, and outfight Deji, your younger brother. And the fight happened in 2018 August. And Jake Paul at the point was keep making vlogs, keep making music videos, and eventually his Everyday Bro song was eventually became the most viewed internet song of all time, YouTuber song of all time. The Everyday Bro got a lot of hate, but you know what? Every publicity is a good publicity. So then the fight happened between Deji and Jake Paul, and Jake Paul absolutely embarrassed Deji and humiliated and destroyed Deji and knocked TKO'd him at the sixth round. Won every single round before TKOing him. Had a very good performance, jabbing up, right hand going to the body, going upstairs, going downstairs. Everything was crisp. Then after Jake Paul beat Deji, Jake Paul's goal was to beat KSI, but he didn't fight KSI because his brother on the same card drew with KSI, and they decided to have a rematch to find who is the real winner. So Jake Paul was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till Logan, you fight KSI, then I'm gonna fight KSI. So Jake Paul was waiting. At the moment, Jake Paul was again back to YouTube, uploading songs, doing fun vlogs, and eventually fought Joe Weller and knocked him out in the second round in his backyard, who was KSI's first opponent and who KSI knocked him out at the third round. So Jake Paul in 2019 was already better than KSI because he destroyed KSI's opponent way earlier than KSI did to his opponent. So finally Jake Paul finally the KSI versus Logan Paul fight happened in 20 finally KSI versus Jake Paul fight happened in 2019 November 9th. uh, and Jake Paul wanted to fight under in the undercard of that fight, but Eddie Hearn said, "No, Jake, I'm gonna give you your own fight." And at that time, KS, sorry, KSI's friend Anison Gibb, who's also a very famous YouTube boxer, called Jake Paul out. And KSI was like, okay, Jake, if you can beat Gibb, Anison Gibb, then I will fight you. And Jake Paul at first was like, who the fuck is Gibb and why would I fight him? But eventually Jake Paul agreed and Jake Paul was like, okay, I'm gonna fight him. So yeah, the fight was scheduled to be in January 31st, 2020. Uh, the fight between Jake Paul and Anison Gibb. So at that time, Logan Paul versus KSI fight happened, and Logan Paul did an illegal move in boxing, so he was deducted 2 points, and that's why he lost the fight by split decision. Otherwise, he would have won by scorecards. The fight went to distance, and eventually KSI won. And Jake Paul gets hurt. Jake Paul gets even more angry, and at that point, Logan Paul says, "Now you have to beat KSI yourself, Jake, for our family." And then the fight between Jake Paul versus Anderson Gibb happened, At that for that fight, Jake Paul trained the hardest he has ever trained. He was locked himself in California, Big Bear, great place, one of the most beautiful place. Just in just in phenomenal performance, honestly. And then Jake Paul finally fights Gabe. Oh yeah, and Jake Paul was trained by Shane Mosley, the ultimate boxer. But BJ Flores, amazing. And eventually, Jake Paul fights Anderson Gabe and knocks him out in the first round. Yeah, knocks him out of the first round. So basically, it's like a TKO, but he would have eventually knocked him out if the fight was keep going. So if you don't know, in Florida, there's a three knockdown rule. If a fighter gets knocked down more than 3 times, then the fighter would be all by rules. The fighter would be eliminated. So Jake Paul knocked down Gabe 3 times in the first round, so that's why the fight was called off. It was a TKO and Jake Paul won. So yeah, Jake Paul cried and everybody was happy in the Paul family. Jake Paul just destroyed Anderson Gabe, and KSI was there in the ringside, and Jake Paul called out KSI after destroying Gabe, and the fight was meant to happen. But at that point, suddenly COVID started, and coronavirus started, so the fight didn't happen. And KSI was calling out Jake Paul was calling out KSI, and KSI was saying, "Oh, it's COVID. I can fight you." And eventually, Jake Paul fights again, and that year's ending in November, in the undercard of Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. In the co-main event, Jake Paul fights Nate Robinson, the NBA Slam Dunk champion. Insane. Everybody was saying that Jake Paul is a YouTuber. Nate Robinson is a real athlete, and Nate Robinson is gonna spark out Jake. Even KSI was saying. But then Jake Paul knocks out Nate Robinson at the second round after knocking him down 2 times by vicious over right hands. And eventually, Jake Paul knocks Nate Robinson out with a check right hook, timing him up when he was coming forward, running to him. Obviously, Nate Robinson looked horrible, didn't have any boxing experience, but at least respect him for getting in there and having the balls to do so. The next year, at April 2021, Jake Paul challenges KSI, but KSI said, "I'm gonna do music now, so fuck you. I'm not gonna fight you." KSI got scared because KSI knew that if he fights Jake Paul, he's gonna get fucking destroyed. So then Jake Paul fights a real fighter, a real Olympic wrestler, Ben Askren. And when Jake Paul fights Ben Askren, he knocks him out at the first round by a beautiful right hand set up by a jab. And everybody was shocked because everybody thought that Jake Paul can't beat a real fighter, but Jake Paul finally beat the real fighter. And then at that point, there was Tyron Woodley who was supporting Ben Askren, and Tyron Woodley is a 5-time UFC champion. And then Tyron Woodley challenged Jake Paul. And for Jake Paul challenged Tyron Woodley accepted. And there was a lot of shit talk Tyron Woodley was saying he was destroy Jake Paul. And the fight finally happened in August uh, 29, 2021. And at that point, I remember I was saying that if Jake Paul beats Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul is the real prospect. And what happened? Jake Paul really defeated Tyron Woodley, won majority of the round, and defeated him easily. And everybody was shocked. And then everybody was saying now Jake Paul needs to fight a real boxer. And Jake Paul was like, okay, bet. Then Jake Paul challenged Tommy Fury, the younger brother of the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. Then the fight was supposed to happen in December 18th, 2021, but Tommy Fury pulled out for a rib injury, and then Jake Paul told Tyron Woodley to fight him on the rematch, and Tyron Woodley accepted it on 2-week notice. And the fight finally happens in Amalie Arena, uh, Florida, Tampa Bay area, and Jake Paul knocks out Tyron Woodley flat out cold, knockout of the year 2021. Amazing knockout, and everybody gets shocked. And in the sixth round, Jake Paul knocked Tyron Woodley out flat cold. And then, yeah, 2021 ends. Jake Paul releases a music video. Jake Paul releases some vlog. And in 2022 July, Jake Paul was sanctioned to fight Tommy Fury again in Madison Square Garden, but Tommy Fury pulls out again, saying that he can't enter to America for some visa issue. And then Jake Paul replaces Hasim Rahman Jr., who is the son of the former heavyweight champion of the world, and who Jake already beaten in sparring before that. He is the first Jake Paul's opponent who is much bigger than him naturally, taller than him, and weighing, I would say 20 to 30 pounds heavier than Jake. So yeah, it's all crazy. But Hasim Rahman Jr. couldn't make the weight to fight Jake Paul's fight was cancelled. And the fight event was cancelled. And then at 2022 October 30th, Jake Paul fights Anderson Spider Silva, the OG, the legend of MMA, UFC, uh, for an 8 round fight in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, at Desert Diamond Stadium. And then Jake Paul dominates Anderson Silva, won most rounds, and wins that fight. Everybody gets shocked, and it's all crazy because people was really saying that Jake Paul can't beat Anderson Silva because Anderson Silva is a real fighter. And even Dana White, the president of UFC, was saying that Jake Anderson is out. And he was meaning that Jake would never fight Anderson Silva. But Jake Paul fights Anderson Silva and beats him. So yeah, that's crazy. And then Jake Paul releases a lot of vlogs after that, enjoys his life. And then in 2023, February 26th, finally for the third time, Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury was set again in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. Uh, and then the fight finally happened between a lot of trash talk. Both fighters said they're gonna knock out them at the fourth round, but none of them were right, and the fight went to distance. The fight was very close, and Tommy Fury wins by split decision, and Jake Paul gets one knockdown at the 8th round. And it was a close fight, but Tommy Fury won that. And then Jake Paul lost, and after that, Jake Paul fights Nate Diaz in 2023, August 5th. Nate Diaz, the baddest man in UFC, the zombie, and then goes distance with Nate Diaz and win by a majority decision, winning every round. And in December 2023, Jake Paul fights Andre August, a real pro boxer, 10-1, 3 times Golden Gloves champion, and knocks him out in the first round by a huge uppercut set up by a jab. And then 2024, Jake Paul fights in March 3. Jake Paul fights Ryan Borland, 17-2 boxer, one Golden Gloves champion, and knocks him out at the first round again. In fights in Puerto Rico, yeah. And then in July 20th, Jake Paul fights the king of violence, the most vicious person in bare knuckle BKFC, Mike Perry, and knocks Mike Perry out at the 6th round after having a very dominant performance, winning every round. Knocks him out with the right hand. And currently, Jake Paul is gonna fight Mike Tyson on November 9, and after a few days in August 17, Jake Paul is gonna finally have another press conference with Mike Tyson. And that is Jake Paul's current life. Jake Paul just uploaded a vlog about him enjoying life with Whistler Diesel and his friend in an amazing place riding jet ski in a yacht. And Jake Paul is still uploading vlogs, very active on his YouTube channel yet again. And this is Jake Paul's Life, and thanks for watching this video. And as always, like, subscribe, comment, share, and press the bell icon to see more videos like this. And if you like this story, then comment down below if you want to see more stories about more people, more celebrities. As always, thanks for watching this video, and bye bye.